This is the Advanced Selling Podcast. The aim of this podcast is to help business sales teams grow their business with modern strategies and philosophies. Now, your hosts, Bill Caskey and Bryan Neal.
This is fun. Welcome back, Advanced Selling Podcast. Still live. We've been here for an entire week. I'm getting tired now. It's the podcast-a-thon. It's the Advanced Selling Podcast-a-thon.
That's right.
Call with your pledge.
You can only listen to so much jazz and it starts to get to you.
Welcome back. I'm Bryan Neal.
Bill Caskey.
And we are again here live at the Jazz Kitchen as we were last week. Still here. Bill, you have a beautiful new shirt on.
Thank you. I do. Yeah, I appreciate that. I wear it every Friday.
Is that houndstooth?
Every Friday. It's actually a gingham.
Oh, it's gingham. Oh, I didn't know.
With a shadow.
I thought it was houndstooth. My fault. We are here every week bringing you sales ideas, tips, strategies, those sorts of things to help you in your sales life. And we are glad you were here. We're glad all the people in the audience are here with us.
Yeah.
And this is audience participation time.
It is.
You have some things.
I have a couple. A couple LinkedIn people.
Yeah.
Here's from Daniel Green. I don't know where he's from. He sounds like a U.S. guy. Can't tell you how much I enjoy listening to your podcast, learning a lot, seeing tangible results, and laughing my ass off on a weekly basis. Thanks for making the sales process fun again. I love that.
We paid him to say that.
Rick Mueller, Advanced Selling Podcast listener. Love to connect on LinkedIn. And then we got a real good question that we're going to have to take up next time on call reports.
I love call reports.
How many in the room love call reports?
The managers
do you even have them?
Yeah, I love them.
Yeah, they're damn nice.
Call reports.
Does anybody even have to do them anymore? Yeah? Kelly's like, yes, I actually have to do them.
They're so motivating, aren't they?
Boss is down here.
Yeah, call reports.
It's like a resume. It's 80%.
You just want to run out and go, like, I can't wait to fill out my call reports.
80% lie, anyway.
I love when salespeople get promoted to sales manager, and they were the ones that bitch the most about the call reports,
right.
And all of a sudden they're on you every day, like, where are your call reports? So we're going to do some questions. We've got a live audience here, and they've all taken time to write some questions down. I've picked three. We've picked three. And we're going to go through those, and we might ask whoever's sitting in the audience, if you would, to play along with us a little bit and talk about these. We've not prepared for these. These are the first time you're hearing these. And these are in no particular order, so away we go. You ready?
Go.
Yeah. Okay, first question. Can we have some tips on how to gain access to the decision makers of an organization? Tips on how to gain access to the decision makers of an organization. Does anyone know who wrote that? Who did? Thank you very much. Welcome.
But how many have that? I mean, how many struggle with that? I assume that's a common thing. So we picked this because it is pretty useful and pretty common.
Do you want me to go first, or do you want to?
Yeah, because I got to think about that.
Okay. I'll tell you, this is a definition. If you've been in any of my training classes, you will have heard me talk about this. At first is our belief, and we may have talked about this on a podcast before, is that we are out of the phase of the decision maker mentality anymore.
Yes.
And so those of you who have been around or you may coach or talking about that, we're saying, well, are we talking to the decision maker? We believe that there's no such thing anymore. That everything is a combination of authority people and influence people that come together and the decision gets made some way, shape, or form. So we want to take away the idea of getting to a person and instead get into the process of their decision, if that makes sense. So as you're thinking about that, and even as you talk in your offices together about things, or your boss comes to you and say, well, are you talking to the right person? To me, there is not the right person anymore. There are multiple people involved. So that's a mental shift that we encourage our clients to take hold of first and foremost when it comes to talking about gaining access. Go ahead.
How'd you know I was going to say something? Was it my long, deep breath?
The whole time I was talking.
Okay, I forgot what I was going to say.
Yep. Yeah. So I have to go again? The pressure.
Oh, you've already done, is that another question? Do I get a chance to?
No,
okay, all right. So yeah, the process, and I think a lot of times we assume that the CEO is the ultimate decision maker.
Right.
And I've got a case right now with a prospect that we're working with, and the CEO is an influencer and probably the person who's going to sign the agreement and check. But there are several people inside her organization that are extremely influential.
Yes.
And so when you ask the question, who's the decision maker, you're going to get lied to.
Correct.
And number two, when you don't ask the question and assume on your own, you're going to fail there. You're going to have a faulty assumption.
Yeah. Yeah, and the people you're going to miss are the people that are the high influence, low authority people that you'll pass by and say, well, they're going to be users of whatever I do, but they're not making the decision, and they will throw you under the bus, and you'll go, I don't know what happened.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, good point.
Very, very common.
All right.
Okay, helpful. Ready? Question number 2.
All right.
So Dave Letterman used to
That's right.
right.
That's right.
Going to hit someone in the eye. We're going to get sued to be our last live podcast ever. Okay. We still struggle with how to discuss economics and address cost without scaring away the potential client We still struggle with how to discuss economics and address cost without scaring away the potential client. Who asked this? Do you remember? Right. Look at it's our good table over
It's
there.
like the table.
It's a plant table. Those are Brooks peeps over there, aren't they, Brooke? Those are your peeps? Doing a good job training. Okay, so this has to do with money, economics, those sorts of things.
So who else has that? Who else faces issues there? Is that a common thing? And they may not break down into tears with fear about money, but a lot of times there's probably some unease about that.
Should we ask the podcast listeners to raise their hands too?
Yeah, sure.
They're in the
Raise your collective hands. All right.
How many of you listen to the podcast regularly in the audience here? Right? Yeah.
Five,
do you listen to it
six,
when you
seven.
work out? We have a couple that listen to it. Okay.
Yeah, Terry, yeah.
Interesting. Okay, you want to talk about this? Can I go first?
Sure, sure.
All right, so there are elements to this. We always start inner game wise. We always want to start thinking wise. So when it comes to cost and economics, the first thing I counsel and coach the clients on is you've got to understand where your mentality is economically. All of us are raised in the United States when it comes to talking about money to what? This is audience participation. About not talk about money.
Right.
Thank you very much. Yeah, you're taught not to do that. And then all of a sudden you get a sales job and boom, you have to talk about money. So you first have to get real square with yourself to say, how comfortable am I with the whole concept of discussing money with other people? That's number one, is just how comfortable you are. The second thing then is how much economic value do you personally place on what you do and provide as a solution and yourself in that process? How many of you are on commission in some way, shape, or form? And your salespeople, usually most people are. And so think about that. When someone wants to discount, get a little irritated by that and think about that they're discounting you and whatever it is that you do. So you've got, I always say that the ideal scenario for our clients is if whatever you sell costs $1,000, when you show up, your energy should project and you should be thinking, if my boss would let me, I'd sell it to you for $1,500. You're lucky they won't let me sell it to you for that much. That will come out. That will ooze out of who you are. If you're someone who's like, oh my God, we are screwing these people, $1,000.
Yeah.
Okay, that's going to come out too, and that's where you get hammered real bad on this one. So that's kind of the inner game side of that.
Yeah, I think the external side is that a lot of times I will ask a client to write down the value that you bring and the economics of that. So let's say that you sell something that helps me reduce turnover.
Right.
But if you don't help me see that my reducing turnover is going to lead to $3.5 million in cost savings and some kind of economic benefits,
yeah.
then when you go to talk about your $30,000 solution, they're going to say, well, 30, well, geez, I think I'll just keep doing it the way I'm doing it, and you never have the chance to talk about the $3.5 million.
Yeah.
So write down the economic nature of your value. Write down all the value you bring, how you help solve problems, and then assign some numbers to it.
Yep.
And I think you're going to carry yourself differently. You're going to demand to, you'll want to have that conversation. See, the problem now is sometimes we don't want to have the conversation.
No,
we save it for the end until they open the quote and say, oh my God, $55,000. I didn't know it was going to be that. It was $10,000.
Yep. Just had that in client.
Did you?
And I talk about it all the time, right? 9-page presentation, 9-page proposal. Where's the price and the
Page
economics?
9.
Right in the back. And this just happened last week.
Yeah.
My client handed it to him. Where'd they go? Oh my God, look at that. Okay. So that's money.
Okay, done.
We need the sound effect crash when it goes through the window. What's the best way to approach a business or organization when doing cold calls? Best way to approach an organization. How many of you do cold calls?
Did you sneak that one in?
Huh? No, I did not.
Oh, okay.
Some, yes, so.
Cold calls?
Okay. Just stop. That's it. Easy for me to say, right? Yeah. Yeah, I go back and, I feel, here's, can I struggle? Can I vent a little bit? Mm-hmm. This should be a rant. So here's where I struggle. Everyone, my clients included, we make 30, 40 phone calls a day. I love it. It's great. I love the behavior. At the same time, I don't think it should be your number one strategy. I always challenge you to say, how can I get out of the cold calling business? How can I never, ever make another cold call again? Then, after you do all that stuff and still have time to cold call, then God bless you, go make some more cold calls. What I find, though, is people do it first. It's sort of their first thing too often, or it's mandatory by some managers, right? Some managers require 20 calls, 30 calls a day. I love the behavior element to it. I don't like the strategic or the lack of strategery in that, if you will, right?
Yeah, sometimes we will recommend people have several different streams of prospects. So you might have trade shows, you might have, and cold calls might be one of those. Maybe it's social media, maybe it's email marketing. So make sure you have, and maybe blogging, of course. It may be all these different things, but make sure that cold calling is not number one. Cold calling should be the last thing on your list.
Yeah.
And I think what happens sometimes is is the managers, and I heard this, I actually heard somebody say this once. I was in a meeting, one of the salespeople was really good at, he was a great writer, and he was writing some articles on the business and some trends that his customers were facing. Yep. The CEO says, I want you cold calling, I don't want you writing articles. Don't spend your time writing these stupid articles, go out and cold call. And I think this is exactly what he needs to be doing, because what's he going to do with the articles? Yep. He's going to cold call then someone and say, I just wrote an article on the 5 biggest trends people in your business have, would you like me to send it to you? And that's how you start to get away from cold calling. You can still make them, but don't rely on them.
Yeah, it's very good. Okay, Advanced Selling Podcast. Thanks for listening. Hope that was helpful. We will be out in San Jose March 17th. That's our next live big event coming up. And you can find us at advancedsellingpodcast.com. You can find us on LinkedIn, Bryan Neal, Bill Caskey, and also follow us on Twitter if you'd like.
Yeah.
See where we're going.
Good job.
That's it. Bye.
Thanks. Appreciate it. See you next time.
This has been the Advanced Selling Podcast, presented by Caskey Achievement Strategies, Indianapolis. Join us each time we record a new podcast by going to BillCaskey.com or to iTunes.